Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about how to read more books. I recently did another video which is very similar to this one, but that one is called How I Read 10 plus books a month, and that video has a focus that is more on a monthly basis. This video, however, is going to be more specific as to what you can do in order to read for a longer period of time, train yourself to do so, and in that way read more books. If you are a booktuber like me, and if you like to read and review books in your spare time, then I assume that you would like to get through as many books as possible. But maybe you're not a booktuber, you just want to read a whole lot more books, and that's why you're watching this video. Basically, this is going to be tips for everyone. If you want to read more books, then I do have some tips and recommendations as to what you can do. First of all, reading is like a muscle. You have to train yourself to read for a longer period of time. It's not just something that you do from one day to another, because we all get tired of reading at some point, and some of us can read for maybe 30 minutes, others can read for 2 hours straight. It's very different, but first of all, you need to strengthen your reading muscle if you want to read for a longer period of time and then get through more books. So my first recommendation is to try and lengthen the time that you read each day. If, for instance, you read for about 30 minutes each day and that's it, you cannot focus anymore after 30 minutes, then try one day to sit down for 45 minutes and see what happens. Be very determined and read for those 45 minutes without taking any breaks. Do that for maybe a couple of days, a week, and then later you can lengthen that to 1 hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then one day you might hopefully be able to read for several hours at a time, and in that way get through a book very quickly. I find that when I started booktubing, I knew that I had so many books that I wanted to read and review, so I forced myself to sit down and read for several hours at a time. And it was very hard to begin with, I will admit that, but I got used to it, and then at some point I was so used to it that reading for 2 hours straight was actually a pleasure to me. So you can strengthen your reading muscle if you really want to. My next tip is to try and fool yourself to read more. Whenever I feel like I'm getting tired of reading for some reason, then I say to myself, just one more chapter, because chances are that if it is a good book, then after one more chapter I will want to read another chapter and another chapter, and then all of a sudden I have read 5 more chapters, which I wasn't going to do to begin with. Also, sometimes it helps me to skip ahead and see how many pages there are to the next natural break in the book, and then I kind of tell myself to just read until that point in the book, just to read a little bit more and maybe get even more captivated in the book. Another tip of mine is to actually buy more books, because I find that when I buy new books, I'm inspired to read. I want to finish the book I'm currently reading in order to get to the new ones, and I often buy more books at a time so that I have maybe 3 or 4 titles waiting for me. And when they are new and I just received them, I am naturally more drawn to them. So buying new books actually inspires me to read more books. And the same goes for watching booktube videos. Booktube videos are the best inspiration for reading, because whenever you hear about new books, whenever you hear about people reading books, you get inspired to read. At least I do. So that's one of the reasons why I sometimes treat myself while reading with a booktube video, so that I don't get stuck in a book that I don't really want to continue reading in. I just say to myself, okay, stop here, take a break of about 5 or 10 minutes in which you can watch a booktube video, and then after having watched that video, I am most likely to want to continue reading just because I feel inspired to do so. Now, I'm one of those persons who likes to drink a cup of coffee or tea while reading, and I find that that also helps me continue reading for longer than I was maybe anticipating to begin with, because when I make myself a cup of tea while reading, I know that that cup will last me for about 30 minutes, in which I will want to read while drinking. So I don't know if this makes sense, but if you feel like you are getting tired of reading, but you know that you want to continue reading this book just because you have to finish it, then go make yourself a cup of tea, and then you will have another half an hour where you know that you are able to sit and relax with your tea and read. Last but not least, take advantage of the weather outside, especially during the cold months, because I find that if it is raining and if it is windy outside, I want to stay inside under a blanket and I want to feel comfortable with a book. I always take advantage of that cold and wet weather because I feel like I can read for hours whenever the weather is bad. So maybe that will help you as well. Now that is it for all of my tips on how to read more books. I hope that you got something out of some of them. I hope that they make sense. They do to me. And maybe if you try them out, you will find that you actually manage to read more books. Thank you so much for watching and happy reading.